Hey, welcome back to another tutorial here. This one, just a little preface here. I ended up buying a digital frame to hang on my wall so I can make some like fun loops and display my own digital artwork and stuff in my house. It hasn't arrived yet, but in the meantime, I've been slowly designing some like fun animated sort of ambient loops. And I thought it might be a fun idea to, as I make them, show you how I made them. Because even though these loops may look simple, there's definitely some like little tricks and techniques that I think you guys will learn on how to get them to loop seamlessly using MOPS and other stuff. And so the one we're going to be making today is this one here. Which is a slightly more simple one, but there's definitely going to be some more complex ones in the future with like particles and stuff like that. So I thought it might be a fun little series just to add into the mix here, along with the more organic stuff that I like to do as well. So without further ado, let's get started. So what we want to do is let's drop down a geo, call this rotating glass. Okay, and let's put a box down, and we're gonna make this box be like, I don't know, 2 in X, 0.3 in Y, and 0.08 in Z, something like that, okay? And then let's put down a poly bevel, and let's just bevel, we only wanna bevel the outer edges here. So let's hit 3 on the keyboard to get that little edge thing. And then I think if we double click with the middle mouse, it just selects everything there, all around in a ring. Hit enter, and then let's do something like 0.022, and let's give it like 45 divisions. Let's make it nice and smooth, because this is gonna be glass later on, and at least in mine is, and I want it to be very, very smooth. Okay, I need to save this, one moment. So let's put it, E3D, working files, Patreon, rotating glass. We'll call this rotating glass, Patreon. Okay, cool. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to carve out a little hole in the center here because I want to have this like little dot that sort of rolls back and forth as if gravity is taking over. So let's make a tube. So like this, and let's put it on the Z-axis, and let's make the radius be like 0.27, something like that. Let's look at that from the front. Yeah, that should be about right. And let's give it a shitload of columns, like 200, to make it like super smooth. Okay, and I'm gonna give it like 4 rows, cool. And then for the height, I wanna add end caps too. The height, I want to make this be pretty thin. So like, let's go like 0.061, something like that, 0.06. Okay, so let's look at it from the top. So that should be, yeah, that's right. Okay, and then let's put down a match size and put the tube in there and put this here. And I want this to match, I want this to be right up against the front. So justify Z max to the max, just like that. Max to the max. Okay, cool. And then what I'm gonna do is I want to put down a clip. Damn it, clip. Okay, move this in half like that. And then let's put down a transform. And we're gonna move this like off to one side. So let's put it 0.92. Nope. Let's do let's look at it from the front. So yeah, maybe let's just say 0.8, like that. Okay, and then let's put down a mirror. So we have it on both sides. And then what we're gonna do is we are gonna make a couple of groups here. So let's put down a group, just so it's all procedural. Let's make it an edge group, and we'll go keep in bounding regions. Hit enter on the keyboard to move this over. And I just want to get just this front face here, like that. Okay, there we go. So that's group 1. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll just drag another copy here. And group 2 will get the other side. Something, make sure you don't get those, anything except for the front. Great. Okay, and then we want to put down a poly bridge. And what this does is it connects geometry based on defined groups. So group 1 will be group 1, and group 2 will be group 2. And there you go. Now you have this perfect piece. And we'll just put down a fuse just in case. Okay, then the next thing I want to do is put down a Boolean. And what I want to do is Boolean this guy from here. There, so now we have this perfect cutout that exactly matches our tube. So when this thing rolls back and forth, it's the exact size. It's gonna fit snugly into either side there. Cool. So we've got that. Let's put down a UV unwrap, just so we have some UVs on it for later. Great. And then let's put down a null, let's say out glass. Cool. All right, and then what I want to do, so later on, I'm gonna want to have some little edges on this thing that show up sort of in black, sort of stylized black. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make another group and move this off to the side. We'll call this edges, and it's going to be a edge group. And let's just select here. So what I want is this ring here. So if I click 1 and then I hit Shift A and click, it will, oh damn it, why didn't it do it? Maybe it's click 1, Shift A, and then middle click. There we go, middle mouse, and that selects the whole ring. That's great. And then click this, Shift A, middle mouse click. I want that ring as well. And then let's get in nice and tight here. Let's get this guy and the back face as well. Could probably do this with more procedural groups or something, but just for now, I want that. Okay, great, and hit enter on the keyboard. So that's my edge group. And then we're gonna use this labs tool called labs edge group to curve. This thing is so freaking handy. So if I just hit edges, boom, now I have these curves based on my edges, okay? And what I can do with them is I can sweep them, and I want to put a round tube, I believe, and let's just give it 6 columns and make the radius really small, like 0.004, something like that. Okay, and then let's give it some normals, just so it's not all messed up. And then I'm going to name it, give it a name. Oops. We're going to call this edge. So we'll use that later on for shading. Okay, cool. Then what I want to do is from this out glass, or from this, let's do a normal. And we'll put down another name. So this will be important later on for when we do the shading. Call this glass. Great. And then let's put these in a merge. Whoa, what the hell did I just do? God. All right. Make sure you type it correctly. Okay, cool. So now I've got my base shape here. Now let's come back up to the, the dot, the little circle. So let's just put down a null here, and we'll call this out dot. And let's bring it down a little bit. Okay, let's work on this guy. So let's give it a normal, and then let's give it a poly bevel, and we'll just do a distance of like 0.005 and give it like 2 divisions. So let's just turn that off. Yeah, I basically just want to bevel this edge just a little bit, and let me just get these, ignore the flat edges. There we go. Cool, so I just want that edge to be just a little bit rounded so it catches some light later on. Okay, let's put down a UV unwrap. Cool, and let's make sure that works. There we go, we got it. And then Let's put down a transform. And what I want to do, let's, if we look at this glass, and then we also template this guy, later on, so this is in the exact spot. It's like exactly colliding with the back edge because I Booleaned it. So what I want to do is I just want to pop this out just a little bit like that so that it's not intersecting at all with this back edge, because later on, this is going to be made from glass. And if it wasn't made from glass, it wouldn't be a problem. But because it's going to be made from glass, you can see through it. And if this circle is exactly in the same spot as this back edge, you're going to get some weird like artifacts in the shading. So I just move it just a tiny bit away. That's all you need to do. Okay, and let's put down another transform here, and we can untemplate this. Let's make it green because we are going to animate it. And let's template this guy here. You can get out of wireframe mode. And what I want to do is I want to animate it from side to side. So let's do that. So I think, let's see, what did I do? Let me just check something here. Okay, so basically we want to animate this from side to side. So in order to get it to the exact side that I want, let's match it up with how far I moved it for the Boolean, which was 0.8, which will be exactly, so if I go like this and put 0.8 here, it should fit exactly where I have it on one side. Okay, so let's put a keyframe there at frame 1. And then let's go out to frame 48. And let's change this to negative 0.8, which should be exactly the other side. Okay, and then let's go to frame 72 and then just drop another keyframe because I want it to stay there for a second. And that's it. So let's open this up. And what I want to do is I want to break this tangent with this guy here. And if I click on this and then click on this handle, I can manipulate this one by itself and just make it straight. And let's take this one, let's move it out just a bit like that. Cool. Okay, and then let's make sure this one is completely flat as well, like that. I don't want it to move. Okay, so what it's basically doing now is it's just going from one side to the other. Whoops, why is that? Okay, so it's like has a little bit of hesitation here, so it's like slowly starting, then it clunks into spot. I want it to maybe clunk a little harder, like that. And let's maybe reduce how slowly it comes out. So like back. Okay, cool. So now I want this to repeat and oscillate from side to side. So what I want to do is if I click on my translate X here and I hit Control E on the keyboard, it opens up this little channel properties thing where I can manipulate the before and after. So on the after, I want this to, I think, oscillate. Yes, right? Or maybe it's cycle offset. Let's see. Nope. Cycle. Which one? Nope. Okay. It's oscillate. So that should be it. So it should now repeat. Bop. So it hits there and then it slowly goes back to the other side and hits and then slowly goes back to the other side. So it's just doing it back and forth. So cool. That's exactly what I want. Great. Okay. Now what I want it to do is I want it to change color as it goes from one side to the other. So what I'm going to put down is a color node, and I'm going to make it white. And then I'm just going to duplicate this, and I'm going to make it black. And then I want to put these both into a blend shape. I found this method is easier, is really easy to do. Instead of trying to keyframe the colors, because you have 3 channels for the colors and trying to get all the tangents to line up, it's easier just to do it with a blend shape because you only have one curve to animate. So I can just go like this. So animate from left to right. So basically, I want to animate it in the exact same way. So let's put down a keyframe here, come out to frame 48 and put a keyframe there, and then come to frame 72 and put another keyframe. And then we'll open this up, and same thing, we're gonna just do Control E, and we're gonna go oscillate. Okay, and then I think I probably wanna manipulate this a little bit so that it's not so it's changing too quickly, right? I don't want it to be black by the time it gets here. I want it to be like stay the same color and then change right about there at the last second. So let's do that by breaking the tangent. We will kind of, come on. Let's just break all the tangents. Click this guy, make it like this. Let's see what that does. So white and black, and then black and white. Yep, that's what I want, exactly. Cool. And maybe even bring this down a little more. And let's make sure this is completely flat. Why are these all not? Untie that shit, come on. Why is it doing that? Untie them, untie. There we go. Sometimes it just takes a second to do it. So let's make sure this is perfectly flat so that it doesn't shift in color while it's resting. Okay, cool, so now we've got that. And then let's, I wanna put down an attribute rename. For some reason, I had some trouble reading in the color attribute into the CD attribute into my my shader. So I ended up having to change the name from CD to CD2, and it worked just fine. So I don't know why that did that, but if you maybe will be able to read in CD just fine, but I just did this so I have CD2. Okay, and then we're gonna put down a name, which again is important for shading later on, and we're gonna call this dot. And then we will merge it with this. Great, so now we have our finished piece, our little one piece here, and it is moving so slowly, probably because I'm recording. There's like no geo on this. Okay, cool. So the next thing I want to do is I want to transform this whole thing. So let's put down a transform. Whoop, not here. Put it after that. And I want this to spin. So how do I want to do that? I think I want to go from, put a keyframe here at 0, and then we'll come out to 72, and we'll make this minus 180. And then come in to the tangents, and we're just going to make this completely flat. So I want this to rotate, and I want it to be sort of like gravity. So it should look like clunk. So, oh yeah, let me go back in this. I need to make sure that this, hit Control E, afterwards hit slope, apply, accept. So what that'll do, it'll just continue this forever. So if you imagine, let me turn this camera here so you can kind of imagine. By the way, if you don't know how to do this took me like 5 years to figure out how to do this, how to like pivot your camera like this. If you hit spacebar on the keyboard and then hold Control at the same time, and then left mouse click, you can go like, you can like bank your default camera, and it's super handy sometimes. So let's bank it like this. So if you imagine, let me get rid of this, that this direction is downwards so that gravity is affecting this. I want this to basically fall every time. So it's almost like gravity's affecting it. So there, now it's at the bottom, clunk. It should be at the bottom every time. Something like that. And maybe we even adjust, we can come to this thing here. Maybe it needs to be adjusted a little more. Maybe this needs to like hesitate a bit. So let me turn this. So it shouldn't be moving. Let's see, I want it to, so when it reaches beyond, when there's no slope, it shouldn't be like moving upwards like this. So let's bring this, out. I mean, it doesn't matter that much. It's just all just silly anyway. But there, now it should be like moving over. Cool. That's better. It's a little better. Something like that. So it feels like gravity is taking over and moving it. Cool. Okay, great. So we've got that. I'm gonna turn off wireframe mode, put this back on, and whoa, I'm all messed up here. And we can bank our camera again. Bring it back to the front. This is the front. Kind of reorient my camera so that it's not messed up. Great. Okay, cool. So we've got our basic animation. Let me put a keyframe or a green on this to show that there's a keyframe in there. Okay, so what we need to do, now we're going to use something called MOPS trigger fall off and MOPS set sequence time, which is a MOPS plus feature. It's really great for offsetting animated instances. It works really, really well. So what I want to do is find the loop point of this. So let's see. We go here, so we go from 1. So there's that. And seems like 144 is the loop point, right? Or 143, something like that. Let's just do it to 144. Okay. So let's put down a ROP alembic output. So this needs to be cached as an alembic in order for this to work. We're going to call this piece. Okay. And we'll do hip ABC slash, we'll change output to $OS, which will name it whatever you've written here, which is great. Okay, and for motion blur, let's just check on use motion blur, hierarchy. We want to build hierarchy from attribute and change this from path to name. So what that'll do, it'll allow me to, even though this will be baked into one alembic piece, I can then separate them out by the names that I've made here so that I can put textures on them. Okay, so let's change the render frame to render frame range. Let's delete this and change it to 144 and hit save to disk. Okay, it shouldn't take too long because it's like hardly any geo. Okay, and then let's bring in an alembic, and we want to bring in, where is it at? Piece. Okay, so we have it now. It's the same thing. It's already baked. It's probably going to run a lot faster. Okay, and it should go here and back. Cool, but it stops. So I want this to rotate infinitely. So the way you do that is under frame, instead of having it be $FF, you have it be $FF %, 144, or whatever your last frame is, and then it should just keep going. Yep, it'll just infinitely play. Great. That's how you loop an alembic that should loop. All right. And then let's put down a MOPS instancer. And we're going to change this. The distribution should be, let's go grid. Yep. And we want this to be fixed number. And I want this to be 1 in the X, 1 in the Z, but 11 in the Y. And then let's just change this, move this here so that they're spaced apart correctly. And we'll set up a camera here. So let's do that actually. So let's put down a camera. And let's jump into it. And let's zoom out a bit so we can see what we're doing. And I want this to be vertical. So I'm going to change the view from 1280 to 720 to 720 by 1280, like that. Okay, and then I also want this to be orthographic. So I want this to be like really flat. So the way I'm going to do that is change this perspective to orthographic, which is like perfectly flat. And the way you zoom in and out is with this ortho width here, if you want to zoom in and out. So let's just adjust that to be like, right? I don't want there to be any light on the side. I want these to come like right up to the edge. So like that. Okay, cool. And then let's come back in here and maybe we can adjust the spacing a bit to be like that. Cool. Great. So we've got that. Now, how do we get these to twist and sort of offset? Well, the first thing we want to do is put down a MOPS shape fall off here. So let's do MOPS shape fall off. And let me come out of my camera a bit. Whoop. Spacebar F to reset the view. And let's do preview fall off. And basically, I want this to, I'm going to animate this so that it starts out here like this. And then over the course of like 96 frames, that was just a number that seemed to work, we're going to come up to here so that everything is white like that. Okay, and then let's just come in here. We will make it linear, and I'll show you what we're doing here in a second. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we're going to put down a MOPS trigger fall off. So MOPS trigger fall off. So if you don't have MOPS plus, this isn't going to work. There's other ways of offsetting instances in Houdini, but it's just a lot more complicated without MOPS, which is why I really, really recommend that you guys get MOPS. I use it all the time. It's so useful. So we're going to use this MOPS trigger fall off, and there's a few things we need to change. The first one is, I think we want to come into the attributes and hit keep attributes. And I think that's pretty much all we need to change on this trigger fall off. Okay, and then the next thing we need is a MOPS set sequence time. MOPS set sequence time. All right, and what that does is we're going to change the index type from expression to attribute, and from MOPS fall off, we're going to change it to elapsed. So if you look in the MOPS trigger fall off under the attributes that we just enabled, this elapsed is what we're looking for. So you notice that everything suddenly changed. So what that's doing essentially is we are using this animated fall off to move through the shapes. Right now they're all moving at the same time, but what it's going to do is we're going to use this MOPS fall off to trigger our MOPS trigger fall off, which will then set the sequence time. So essentially, as these turn white, they're going to kick off the animation that we've pre-made. So it's going to sort of make a spiral like that. Now you can see they're kind of like popping. It's because they're not looping, but it is doing what we want to do. So what we'll need to do under, let's see, where is it? There's a, how did I do it? Ah, here it is. Okay. So this is important. Under the MOPS set sequence time, you need to change the set cycling mode to cycle, and then hit override frame range and change it to 144 or whatever your frame range is. So now it should be working correctly. So if I hit play, you'll notice that each one starts and it works. Now it's kind of jittery on my screen here because I'm screen recording, and for whatever reason that's just like taking up all my RAM or something. So, but you can see, there we go. And if you want these to be more spaced out, like if you can change, if you want these to be tighter together, like right now, see the spacing between these, you can change that with this MOPS shape fall off. So if I adjust this, if I come in here and I make this like way faster, what that's going to do, now they're all closer together. Do you see that? But if I make it like way farther, instead of 96, let's change this to like 200, right? Okay, and then come back here, hit it again. Now there's like way more offset between these. Do you see how that works? So I found, for me, the value that worked the best was, go back here, was 96. That seemed to give me the correct offsets that I wanted, but you do whatever you want. Okay, cool. So we've got that. And then just so you know, sometimes the offsets here don't really play nicely with the viewport. If that happens, you may need to unpack, oops, get out of here. You may need to unpack this, which makes it a little heavier, but it will display correctly in your viewport. Cool. So I'm going to leave it unpacked for now just because. Okay. And let's make sure when we unpack that you hit transfer attributes, put a little star so you get all of them. So now you'll have access to your CD2, your ID, your MOPS Falloff, all the stuff you're going to need for shading later on. Okay, let's give this a normal so that, because right now you see how it's all messed up like that or weird looking, just give it a normal and it'll fix that. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to look through my camera again, and let's, we're going to set this up to be, we're going to transform this here and set it up so that it works. Transform. We're going to turn it sideways. Oops. Like that. Oops, shit. Cool. And then we're going to shrink it down so that this is there. Something like that. Okay, cool. Because I want to stack these vertically. Okay, and then the next thing I want to do is let's put down a mirror. And I want this to be mirrored, not, well, hold on one sec. So we're going to mirror this, and then let's change it so that it's mirroring. This is the mirror plane. If we mirror like this, that's going to be better. And let's put down another transform here, and we'll move this up like this. And let me come out of my camera a bit. Oops, shit. And with the mirror, I actually want to uncheck keep original. And then I want to merge like this. Go this guy and this guy. And we're going to time shift this one. And we'll figure, I'll show you here what I'm doing in a minute. It'll make sense. So right now, if I click this, I've got my original here. And then I've got my mirrored guy here. And let's move this so, oh, shit. Let's put the time shift down. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. I want to offset this so that these don't collide. So we'll do $F plus, and then let's put like 25 or something. Okay, we just kind of have to kind of eyeball it. So right now those are colliding. Let's just, if you middle mouse click on this, you can actually scroll. Let's go like, something. So let's kind of look at it from the side here. And if we just kind of move it, so I think an offset of around 25 is going to be good, but let's move these so they're not colliding. So let's move this original one down like that. I think should be good. So now these should, maybe a little more. So let's make sure that none of these tips are touching. We want them to come really close, but I don't want them to collide at all. So it's maybe just a tad more, just like that. Okay, cool. So now I look through the camera. I've got these two things. They're moving in opposite directions. They are not colliding. And I just eyeballed it with these numbers here. You know, this mirror, or this time shift here, you can, just kind of play around with it until it looks right. Okay, and then let's do this again. Let's basically take all of this, copy it, put this here, And then this transform, let's just put a ×2 here. And it should just line up. Now I've doubled it. I've doubled the size. Okay, and the offsets should be the same. There we go. It's working. Great. Okay, let me unvisualize MOPS. I want to turn off the visualization of this MOPS fall off here. Okay, and then lastly, let's do it one more time. And under the transform, instead of ×2, let's just change it to ×4. Boom, there you go. So now you have this looping thing that they are not colliding, or they shouldn't be. Well, shit, it appears that some of them are colliding. That is strange. Let me figure that out. Okay, so actually this is working properly. It's just that they look like they're colliding from the beginning because they haven't actually all started yet because they're offset. So if you just scrub ahead in the timeline to where they're all sort of going, then they won't collide with one another as long as you've, yeah, so that's working. Great, so let me go back to my camera. So we've got it. It is working. And now we just need to find the loop point. So let's make sure, let's find a point where they're all started. So let's go like, I don't know, 72. Let's just do a quick wireframe render here. I just kind of extended my timeline to 300. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of wireframe render and then see how it's moving, and then we'll figure out a loop point here. So I'll kick that off and then I'll pause the recording here. Okay, so I've got my wireframe here, and you can see that it is working. So what I'm gonna do with something like this, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it and figure out a good loop point here. So you can see that it's all kind of starting up here. I wanna scrub ahead to where like everything is fully going. So I'm gonna say maybe like 113, okay? And then let's just find another point that looks like this. So if we look on the left, we see that there's this like black thing here that's like about halfway down. So let's just kind of scrub ahead until that side turns black again. And let's see, like, not quite. There we go. So like let's say like 256. Oh shit. So let's put 256 here. And then let's just play this and see if it loops seamlessly. Boom, look at that. Nailed it, first try. So it might just take a few tries just to figure out which frame is the loop point. So from 113 to 256 is gonna be our loop for this. Now, something I'm noticing, I'm looking at these little dots and I can see that they're like slamming down really hard. I think that I need to adjust my curves on this to make it look a little bit more fluid, and it's kind of hitting like, bam, where is it? Let me see if I can find where my mouse, right here, boom, 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 boom. It's hitting too hard. I don't like that. So the great thing is, all I need to do, it's all procedural, is let's come back up to, where is it? Is it this one? Yeah. Let me just play here. So let me go to yeah, look at this. This curve is like insane. It's like, that's what's making it slam down so hard. So let's bring this back like that, and let's play that. So that's a little better. Okay, cool. So I've got the curve, it's better. All I need to do is go back to my alembic, hit save to disk, okay? And then back to this one here, just hit reload geometry, and it should just auto update everything. So when I do another play blast here, which I will do, flip book with new settings, let's just do, yeah, hit start. Oh shit. I need to get into my camera actually. Hit start. It should be a lot better. So I'll pause this here. Okay, so we've got our new thing here. Let's change it to 113 and 256 and see what that looks like. I think that's better. Let's see. Yeah, that's much better. So they're slamming down, but not quite as hard. I think that looks a lot better. Okay, great. So we've got our animation. Now let's light and shade this thing. It's going to be pretty easy to do. So let's put some materials on this. Okay, so save this. Let's fire up the render view. or first let's just put down a RS dome light. And then let's just, let me change this to my layout here so I can get my OD asset manager, go to HDRIs. Let's just put an HDRI in here. I'll do Studio, Pro Studios, and let's see. Let's just put in number 1. Let's just try that for now, just to have something. Okay, and let's go into our camera and let's fire up the render view. Okay, so you can see it's super bright. So let's come over here and let's change this to filmic, and we can reduce the exposure a bit, or we can just change go into the light and reduce the exposure here so we can actually see what we're doing. Okay, cool. And then let's just kind of move this thing around, maybe like, I don't know, 44, just put just something on there like that. Or just trying to get some shape on these. Maybe something like that. Maybe that's fine. Okay, cool. For now, we'll just keep it there, and we can change the lighting as needed. Okay, let's put down, let's put a grid, and we'll call this BG, because this is going to be glass, or at least I'm going to shade it like glass. So you can shade it however you want, but I want to have some sort of background layer like that. So when we see through it, we don't see the HDRI or anything like that. And I'll put let's put a UV project on there and just do initialize so we can put a texture on there. Okay, cool. So let's put down some materials here. So on the rotating glass, if we middle mouse click on this, we should have some name attributes. I only see point, there it is, name string 11. So let's just put down a material. And the first one, interesting, we don't have any of our names coming through. Why is that? So if you remember earlier, we put some names up here so that we could use them for shading, but they don't seem to be coming through. Let's on this unpack, let's try transfer groups all. See if that does anything. Do we have our names? Nope. Interesting. Oh, you know what? I think I know what it is. It's because I think we need to put our material, just Command X that, come up. I think it needs to go right after our alembic, but before it goes into the instancer and becomes a packed object. Okay, so let's see if we have names now. We do, there we go. Okay, so let's put dot, the first one, and we'll type /mat/dot, which is a material that does not yet exist. The second one, we'll put edge, we'll go /mat/edge. Again, another material that doesn't exist, and we'll create a third one for, you guessed it, /mat/glass. Glass. Okay, and then we'll just click this little arrow to go to our material thing, and we'll make a RS material builder, and we'll call this glass. Okay, and then just copy paste, call this edge and dot. Okay, cool. So let's fire this guy up again. Got to make sure the flag is at the end of the stack. There we go. Okay, so for glass, let's just come in here, change the base weight to 0, change the transmission to 1. For now, that's just our basic glass. Okay, and then let's go to edge. Let's change the color to black. And then let's change the reflection weight to 0 and the roughness all the way up. So it's going to give us this sort of like cartoon-like lines that don't reflect any, they're not actually reflecting any light or anything. It's just kind of these interesting outlines. Okay, cool. And for the glass, let's fine tune it a little bit. So for that, let's, the reflection, let's do like, let's reduce the reflection a little bit. I don't want this to be super reflective. Let's come down like 0.3, I think 355 is a number that I found that worked pretty well. And the roughness, let's make it a little more rough, 0.458, something like that. Cool. So I want to obscure the dot kind of when it rolls around the backside. Like I want you to be able to see it clearly on the front side, but then on the back side, I want it to be kind of fuzzy and diffuse. And then I think the IOR should be 1.3 for glass. And then I think that's pretty much all I did for the glass. It's not like super accurate for anything. It's just I just kind of eyeballed it. Okay. And then for the dot, let's figure that guy out. So remember, we set up that attribute called CD2. So we're going to use an RS point attribute and CD2. And for whatever reason, like normally if you can get CD to work for this, great. For whatever reason, mine, when I was doing my tests, CD wasn't working and I just needed to rename it to CD2 and it worked fine. I don't really know why that is. It must have been conflicting with something. But let's put down a ramp and plug this in here. Input, base color, and let's refresh the viewport. So it's working. You can see at one end of the side it's black and the other end is white. And so we can change these colors to be whatever we want. So I'm going to change this to be like a kind of maybe a blue like that. And then at the other end of the scale, maybe like an orange like that. So they're going to go from like blue to orange like that. Okay. And then I think I want to put like a Fresnel on this. So I like doing that sometimes. And let's put down a color mix. Oops, not a color maker. Color mix, like this. And let's make this mix color something fun, like pink. I love pink. It's the best. And then we're going to use the Fresnel as the mix color. And then we can just kind of come in here. We can turn off use index of refraction and just kind of move this down. Let's go to like 1. So it just kind of gives it like some orangey, it just sort of makes the edges a different color. It kind of makes it interesting. So kind of depending on the angle you're looking at it, it could be kind of pinkish, it could be kind of bluish or purple or orange. Just kind of makes it feel more interesting to me. And then let's also adjust some properties here. I want to give it a little bit of metalness. 0.208, I think, so it's kind of shiny a little bit. And then let's bring the roughness up to like 0.441, so it's not quite such. I don't want like super tight specular highlights on it. And then I think that's all I did for that. Cool. So that's pretty much what I did for the shading. And then for the lighting, I think I just put down another RS light. So let's see. I believe I just flipped it like this, and so it's like directly above it, casting some shadows. Let's see, something like that. Make it like 1 instead of 100, and make this much bigger. Something like that. Let's turn off the light dome, or let's just preview. Yeah, it's too dark. So maybe we have a little bit of the light dome. Let's just change this to like 0.2 and minus 4.53, something like that, maybe. Okay, and then for the background, let's make a material for the background actually. Let's RS material builder. We'll call this BG, and we can just throw this on there. And what I want to do is put down a ramp. And because we have a UV texture, this should work. So let's go ramp, and we'll do emission color also. Oops. Like that. And let's make the emission color like for the weight 0.15, just so it's emitting just a little bit of light. And then in the ramp, I want to make this color be like a kind of a brownish. Let's do like, I don't know, like a, damn it, something like that maybe, I don't know. And let's bring this white, let's see what it's doing. Is it doing anything at all? Can I even see this? Let's refresh this. That's better. Maybe like that. I don't know, you can just kind of play around so you can kind of see through the back of it. I just want it to be just a little bit off-white. Not quite fully white. Yeah, so I don't know, something like that could work. Okay, and then for the dome light, just kind of play around, you know, just move it to try to get some shape. Oop. That's too much. I think that's actually where I want it. Let's see. Something like that, to where you're casting some shadows a little bit and you can kind of see some definition in here. But basically that's all I did. It's pretty simple. Basically I'm just trying to show you how to offset instances and create something simple like this. I will be creating more infinite loops for my little frame, and they're going to be, some will be a lot more complex. This is a pretty simple one, but I just kind of thought it would be a fun tutorial to make as an interim in between some of the more complex ones. But don't worry, I will be releasing more of these. I'll be making more of the plant stuff and organic things, of course. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know if you have any questions. Oh, actually one more thing. In color correction, let's just turn on tone mapping, and that gets rid of those highlights. So if you check out see, look how hot those highlights are. Those whites are all blown out. Just click that on. Bam, they're gone. Better. Cool. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you have any questions, and I will release a new tutorial shortly.